Hey guys, Kakarot here. Hope everyone's doing well. I thought it'd be interesting today to do a quick self-VOD review. I've got two matches here against the same team, one loss, one win. We are playing FMP with two great guys, Packet on Priest, Kaz on Mage. Both of them were Glad last season. This is really my first Glad push. We'll see if there's enough time left in the season and enough participation inflation, but right now we're just having fun queuing. We're around 2100 with kind of the normal ups and downs, but I think we're pretty steadily climbing too. Anyway, we were struggling with this Ret Warrior Resto Druid. We lost twice, won once, and I thought it would make a lot of sense to look at what some of the differences were in those matchups. And having watched these videos back a few times, I think the two key mistakes that I'm making are trying to get too much CC onto the Resto Druid. I don't think that that should be my job. I think that it directly conflicts with the other goal in this match for me, which is kiting in such a way that my mage can step between the Ret Warrior and their Druid. And because of that, he's the one who's going to be doing most of the CC onto the Druid. We should pretty much be playing off of his poly timers on the Druid, and I should be cross CCing with the Cyclone onto a Bash Cyclone onto the Warrior maybe, or a Chastise Cyclone onto the Warrior. But if we're positioned well, which really means if I'm kiting well, Packet and Casimir can combine for really long CC chains, just like if we were playing jungle, right? It's not on me to get Cyclones onto the healer. I should be cycloning the off-DPS and using my stuns to lock down everybody else. So let's take a look at a few moments where I start to kite well, and I just don't commit to it. So here, in this situation, I see the Resto Druids over here. I am going to start kiting this way, which would allow Kaz to step in between and play goalie against their healer. For some reason, I just don't commit to that. And I end up circling back this way, where if I just kept going around this corner, I think that we are sitting really pretty. All of this aside, I recognize that my damage in this opener, and really in this game, was pitiful. I need to go back to the fundamentals on that. I'm fishing for way too many Cyclones onto the Resto Druid. When I do get one, we do get CDs. We got the Druid's Trinket there because I was able to land a Cyclone and we were able to do some damage, but if I was doing more damage, we could have gotten more. So, it's a bit of give and take, but really this level of damage, and it doesn't go up for the rest of the game, this level of damage is just not going to get the job done. Again, here, I start kiting the right way, and then I'm too focused on trying to get CC onto this Resto Druid, and I end up dragging everyone back into the middle. While Packet is going in for an awesome play. He gets a Chastise into a Psychic Scream. I get a DR clone on that Psychic Scream, and that is actually a terrible play because it keeps the Druid rooted there when he would have had 2 more seconds of running this way. And if I had just been kiting these guys across the map, Kaz could have followed up with a poly, or a Dragon's Breath into a ring. He has any number of ways to continue the CC chain, and this Ret would have been all by himself. I wouldn't have bashed the Resto Druid. I would have bash up for this for the Warrior. Yes, we get bubble, but if we're positioned over here, that bubble comes off for free. Packet can MD basically for free because he'll be stood still somewhere over here, and he won't be anywhere near interrupt level, or interrupt range rather, and that's a kill, without without insane support from the warrior. You know, maybe he intervenes and parries, but then again, we just got how many CDs from one play if I kite correctly. So that's really one of the biggest things that I see that I'm not doing well is I'm not kiting in an intelligent way. You know, again, here, this druid is pretty comfortably around the corner from my mage. If I drag these guys all the way over here, and my mage can't push up because the meleeer stood right here. They can interrupt him for free. They can swap to him, maybe. They can cleave onto him, so he doesn't want to step up, which makes total sense. But if I'm kiting them all the way over here, or even around the corner, he's able to step up for free. He can get some CC onto the Rdruid. It's really my failing at kiting that is on display here. Even there, I should be kiting. Now the Rdruid has repositioned, but for a second it would have made sense still, mostly because Packet was stood right here, would have made sense to kite over here. But now, okay, we've kind of got our ideal positioning set up. Kaz is in between the Ret Warrior and the Rdruid. I need to just kite these guys around this corner here, out of line of their Rdruid and out of line of all the treants, right? But instead, I stun them right out in the open. It's just, I'm not thinking about the right things. And okay, the Rdruid has repositioned. I'm starting to kite, starting to make progress on it, starting to kite the right way. Again, there's all this open space over here, and I would be in line of Packet the whole time. It's something that I need to work on. And now, watching these games back, honestly, it's going to be top of mind for me. That's the value of doing these self-VOD reviews, is you really get to see, what you're doing poorly, and think about it for the next games. So I'm gonna let this run. Too many mistakes have been made already by me. There's really not going to be much recovery, and I'm still just not doing enough damage. We're not gonna get a kill off of Casimir's damage alone. Even though we're running the Druid pretty low, and I think by the end of this he's at like 30,000 mana. It's possible that we could win the War of Attrition here, but again, just too many mistakes by me. If I kited right, we would have won 2 or 3 setups ago. We would have had much cleaner setups. That's really the value of proper kiting. I think I'm playing this too much with a solo shuffle mindset of I need to do it all on my own. I need to get the Cyclone onto the healer so that we can get our setup going. When I really just need to be trusting Kaz and Packet to be able to get CC onto the healer while I am kiting the melee all the way across the map. So there's the loss. There are the big lessons to think about going forward, and let's take a look at the win. Again, it's in the same queue session, so it's not like I have really thought about and implemented these lessons, but I do a little bit better in that game, and I'll point out those moments. All right, and here's the win. Same team, same map, later in the queue sesh. One thing that we did talk about as a team is that Packet's chastises aren't going on the kill target anymore, and I think that's really going to help things. And I recognized even in the Q sesh that my damage was pitiful, and I need to just be focused on pumping, especially at the beginning. There's just no reason not to. And here we get a really strong opener. We force Trinket from the Rdruid, we force Sank, we force Bubble, and it just puts us so far ahead of the game. yes, I'm able to get Cyclones onto the Resto Druid, and yes, we said last game that that's not really the right play, but it is, you know, it does put them on the back foot when he is in the middle like that, and just free to get Cyclones on. Then it ends up being a good play. So here again, the Resto Druid just went somewhere a bit below me. I need to be kiting these guys around this corner. Here would be the perfect spot for these guys to be stood. The Resto Druid would have to run all the way across the map. He would be goaltended by my team, and I start making that play, and then I am still way too concerned with trying to get Cyclones onto this Resto Druid. I start running back this way when really salvation is right over here. If I can get them on this little square on the ground, we win this game. But I circle back. The Druid can comfortably. We're in the reverse position. I need to be stood where Kaz is stood, and that way he's in between. Like I said, the goal is to get him in between the Ret Warrior and their healer. And to his great credit, he's about to do that. He's about to come running straight across. I think, yeah, he blinks right through them. Yes, he's going to stop the drink, but at the same time, it's really just a matter of him getting good positioning, because he understands this positioning stuff way better than I do. There again, my bash shouldn't be going on the Druid. I should be bashing the Warrior, and I shouldn't be trying to get a Cyclone onto the Druid. I should be Cycloning the Warrior. Yes, I'm able to get a good Cyclone there, but even so, like, look at this. The Ret is able to run away because we're so close to his Druid. He's able to get around the corner, be right next to his Druid. Where's the setup? I've just basically put this Druid on Fear DR for pretty much no reason. So now again, Kaz is making up for my terrible kiting, and he is forcefully positioning himself in between the Ret Warrior and the Druid. If I am doing this with kiting, then he's able to stand still and turret a little bit more, right? And he's even forcing the Druid to move. Again, he gets an awesome poly. If I drag these guys right back here, then this setup becomes way more potent. But instead, these guys are able to just turn around and whack Kaz for a few minutes. It's just not the best. Just not the best positioning for me. Just not the best kiting. I need to get these guys around the corner. And yeah, it might drag them out of line for Kaz for a minute, but he can very easily reposition over here, and very safely reposition over there. So these are the things that I'm looking at. Again, yes, I get a good clone onto the Resto Druid. Yes, it forces out Incarn, and the Pally is kind of freaking out for a moment there. But these setups would be so much more potent if I drag these guys behind on the ramp, which is, I think, in just about a minute, what ends up happening. Here again, I'm playing Gatekeeper for some reason. It works, but really it only works because Packet went for a drink, and the Ret Warrior thought, hey, we need to stop that drink. Otherwise, it's really not going to be that effective. And so now we have finally, look how far this Resto Druid had to run to heal his team. We finally get these guys over here. He has to run all the way across the map just to heal them. And now I'm even in a position where I can triple cleave. and do more damage. Thankfully, I'm finally not on the very bottom of the charts. And then the Druid helps us out by achieving our ideal positioning state again, with Kaz in between the Ret Warrior and the Resto Druid. Here I'm finally getting it. I'm finally saying, okay, I can bring these guys to a spot where they are completely across the map from their healer. Let's focus on that. let's do that. Again, had I not bashed the Resto Druid, I would have had bash there, and we would have gotten a cleaner Cyclone onto this warrior. We end up getting the Cyclone onto the warrior. It's enough to force a kill, and we take home, finally, the redemption victory. All of that said, my kiting was still poor, my cycloning was still poor. The two big lessons that I take away are that my kiting need against a comp like Ret Warrior, Resto Druid, or any other melee cleave with a Resto Druid, Resto Shaman, I need to be kiting in such a way that I am putting the melee cleave, that I'm separating the melee cleave from their healer, and that Casimir is able to step in between them and play goalie. That's a big thing, and what goes hand in hand with that is that I need to stop looking for cyclones onto the healer. I need to trust Kaz and Packet to get that done, and I need to be focused instead on cycloning the off-DPS. Anyway, that's the VOD review. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed, and if you did, I'll make some more of these.